There is a particular quality to the attention of a powerful mind searching for something it cannot locate. I have seen it in the dead, those who arrive still carrying the weight of an unresolved question, whose minds continued working on a problem past the point where working could help. The searching outlasts the circumstances that produced it. Zeus was searching. I could feel it in the texture of the world above. Not in any single signal, but in the accumulated weight of a system under increased pressure. He had tightened his monitoring across the mortal world in the weeks following the coastal battle, the conflict that had ended faster and more completely than the surrounding pattern suggested it should. He had found no explanation. He had set it against everything else he had observed since the first subtle pressure shift, and the file was growing, and the pattern inside it was refusing to resolve into something he could name. This was precisely what I had been working toward. Not chaos. Zeus responds to chaos efficiently. It is loud, directional, traceable. What I had created was variance, small deviations from the established pattern, distributed across different domains, arriving without apparent connection to each other or to any single source. Each deviation readable as isolated noise within the normal range of an imperfect world. But the accumulated weight of them was producing a signal his instincts recognized, even when his instruments could not confirm it. He was the most experienced ruler in the cosmos. He knew the difference between natural variance and something wearing its shape. He sent Hermes again, this time differently. The first investigation had been targeted. A specific concern, a specific visit, a specific result. This time, the mandate was broader, which told me something important about how his thinking had developed. He was no longer looking for a single source. He was surveying. Hermes was sent to move between realms without declared purpose. The underworld, the sea, the mortal regions that had produced the unusual signals, the behavior of the Olympians in their unguarded hours. He was looking for a pattern, not a culprit. That is the more sophisticated investigation. It is also, if the thing being investigated has been constructed carefully enough, the more easily deceived one. A pattern built to look like variance will read as variance to any survey not already certain of what it is searching for. Hermes moved through my kingdom with the ease of long familiarity. I received him correctly, as before. The passage halls functioned. The rivers held their courses. The intake rate from the mortal world ran at levels consistent with recent history, because I had, after the coastal battle, returned everything to baseline with the same care I had used in adjusting it. The move had been completed. There was nothing left to find. He spent longer here than the first time. I noted this without alarm. The additional time was information. Zeus was conducting a genuine investigation now, not a preliminary inquiry. He had moved past curiosity into something more serious. Hermes left with nothing. Poseidon noticed him. This is the development that carries the most weight in what I am describing. Hermes, passing through the underworld, requires no explanation. He has formal standing, established access, obvious reasons for being there. But Hermes observing the sea, moving along coastal boundaries, studying the current patterns in regions connected to the recent conflict, that is a different category entirely. Poseidon does not miss movements in his domain. The sea is too vast to monitor at the surface, but its depths carry information about everything that passes through them. And a god who has spent his existence learning to read those depths will feel an intentional observer the way the ocean floor feels a ship passing far above. A shadow, a pressure change, a disruption in the quality of the light. He felt Hermes before he saw him. And when he understood what Hermes was doing, the systematic observation, the unhurried attention directed at the specific currents near the underworld's boundaries, the regions already connected in Poseidon's private ledger to the coastal conflict, He added this entry with the focus of someone whose accounting has just received a significant new entry. Zeus was investigating the sea, not Poseidon specifically. The survey was not an accusation, but it encompassed his domain, and the specific currents being observed were the ones he had already flagged, and the timing connected directly to events he had been tracking for weeks. Zeus was looking for a connection. He had not found it, but he was looking in the right direction. Poseidon sat in the depth of his kingdom and considered what the ledger now held: the initial current shift near the Underworld boundary, the coastal battle and its unusual acceleration, Hermes investigating the sea and its aftermath. 3 observations, each individually explicable, collectively forming a shape he could feel, developing the way he feels deep ocean processes, through displacement, through accumulated pressure, through the movement of something that has not yet surfaced. He thought about Hades, the deliberate silence from that direction, not absence, choice. He thought about Athena, who had been consistently, specifically, unusually quiet. He did not draw a conclusion, not yet, but the picture had acquired enough definition to be recognized as a picture. Athena observed all of this from Olympus. She watched Zeus send Hermes with the broader mandate. She watched Poseidon register the investigation with new attention. She watched the survey return with nothing actionable, confirming instincts without providing evidence. She processed it all with the stillness of a god who had already mapped the territory being explored and knew, from that map, exactly where each actor stood relative to where they would eventually need to be. She said nothing. In the council sessions of those weeks, she contributed measured insight, present and appropriate and carefully empty of anything that moved any piece in any direction. The most intelligent observer of a game she had helped design, checking her calculations against emerging data. The calculations were holding. I want to say something honest about what I observed during those weeks, not satisfaction. What I felt was the quality of attention that comes when a theory produces confirmed results. Not the conclusion, but the evidence that the direction is correct. The coastal battle had been a test. The test had returned data. The data confirmed the central parameter I needed. Zeus's system is fast and overwhelming when responding to a single identified source. It becomes slower, less certain, when the pressure is distributed, when the signals are multiple and apparently unrelated, when investigation requires Hermes moving between realms rather than descending to one. The survey had found nothing, but the survey itself was the result I had been working toward. Zeus was more alert than before. The investigation he was running represented a genuine escalation. He was treating the unnamed disturbance seriously now, running a pattern recognition process across the underworld, the sea, the mortal periphery, and the behavior of the Olympians simultaneously. A centralized system investigating distributed pressure must distribute its attention, and a god whose attention is distributed across multiple domains is not the same god who corrected my test in minutes without looking up. Poseidon was watching the sea with new interest, adding observations to a ledger that was beginning to form a shape. Hermes had been dispatched on a broad survey rather than a targeted intervention. Zeus was running an open investigation without a confirmed hypothesis to anchor it, and I had returned to stillness. The pressure had been applied. The responding forces had spread outward from the center to address it, and in the spreading they had thinned, and in the thinning they had revealed something I needed to know. Centralized power is formidable when it can concentrate. When it cannot, when the demands on it multiply from directions that appear unrelated, when the survey must cover the underworld and the sea and the mortal world and the behavior of allies without any single thread to follow, the concentration breaks down. Not dramatically, not visibly, but measurably to anyone watching from a position that does not require the concentration to survive. I was watching from that position. The perimeter of Zeus's attention, when fully extended, had edges. I knew, now, approximately where they were.